nation behaves well if it treats the natural resources as assets which it must turn over to the next generation increased and not impaired in value. That's what Theodore Roosevelt once said. In the hills of Rensselaer County, there's a place that brings those words into focus. The Martin Dunham Reservoir, located inside the boundaries of Grafton Lake State Park and managed by the New York State Department of Parks, Recreation, and Historic Preservation, has been part of this region's landscape for over a century. It's not remote wilderness, and it's not overdeveloped recreation. It's something different. A regional jewel, quiet and self-contained. To reach it, you travel a seasonal dirt road or put in from one of 2 boat launches located at either end of the reservoir. I have been coming here since I was a kid, fishing, hiking, and for the last 2.5 decades photographing the park in every season and weather. I have captured thousands of images of the park. I know this place well, so I know what's at stake if the reservoir disappears. The Martin Dunham Reservoir was constructed in 1911 by the city of Troy. It was built with the intention of serving as a drinking water supply, part of a long-range plan to meet the city's growing demand. An earthen dam was installed high in the hills of Grafton designed to create a reliable reserve with gravity-fed flow through a gatehouse and down the valley. But the reservoir was never used. Troy ultimately chose other sources, and the water stored here remained untouched by the city's distribution system. Over time, the reservoir took on a different role. It became another kind of resource for the region. An engineering assessment conducted in 2024 found that the concrete spillway is rapidly aging and no longer meets modern safety standards. Cracks and visible deterioration have raised concerns about its long-term stability. The earthen dam itself is also in poor condition. Now, more than a century later, the dam is showing its age. Seepage has been observed near the base, indicating pressure on the structure, and vegetation has taken root in areas that should remain clear, making inspection and maintenance more difficult. Based on these findings, the dam has been classified as a Class C high-hazard structure. That doesn't mean failure is expected. It means that if failure were to occur, the consequences downstream could be severe, threatening roadways, natural systems, and potentially human life. That designation places the reservoir under closer state scrutiny, and in recent years, New York has increasingly chosen to remove aging dams like this one, especially when they no longer serve a municipal or industrial function. The state of the dam puts Dunham on a list of dams that may be removed to eliminate risk, especially when repair funding is scarce and the structure no longer supports drinking water or power. This is the trend across New York. In 2022, 13 dams were taken out. When a reservoir doesn't serve a direct utility, its value is often seen as limited. Martin Dunham no longer supplies Troy's water, it doesn't generate electricity, and so its role as a cultural, ecological, and recreational anchor gets overlooked. At a public forum, 3 scenarios were introduced. Option 1, full rehabilitation. Estimated cost, $20 million. This plan strengthens the dam, repairs the spillway, and installs modern monitoring systems. Option 2, partial removal with stream corridor restoration. Estimated at $9.1 million. This proposal would involve lowering the dam and draining the reservoir, then reshaping the basin into a narrow, meandering stream and wetland corridor. In theory, the plan would restore more natural hydrology and support native plant and aquatic species. But in practice, it eliminates a fully functional flatwater system that currently supports recreation, emergency response, and established wildlife habitat. Paddling, boating, and ice fishing would end. The water line would drop by more than 50 feet. The reservoir's gatehouse would be decommissioned. Groundwater levels in nearby areas could decline, potentially affecting wells, soil stability, and ecological balance. Analyzing dam management trends across the state and region, this option appears to align most closely with the current preference of state stakeholders. Restoration through removal is increasingly favored, not necessarily because it serves the greatest public benefit, but because it reduces long-term infrastructure obligations. Fewer inspections, no major repairs. Between 2020 and 2024, the majority of aging dams in New York not serving active utility functions have been targeted for decommissioning, often accompanied by wetland corridor conversions. These outcomes are framed as ecological wins, but the community and functional losses are rarely part of the public messaging. If option 2 is selected, the reservoir's existing cultural and practical uses would be permanently erased in favor of a new landscape designed around risk avoidance. Option 3, partial removal without restoration. This is the least costly plan and the most harmful. It leaves the drain lake bed exposed to erosion, instability, and habitat collapse. These aren't just technical plans, they carry long-term impacts for the landscape, the wildlife, and the people who use this space. Yes, policy has moved toward removal. Yes, some grants reward deconstruction over stewardship. But this space still functions, and it does so in service to more than one agency's mandate. The Martin Dunham Reservoir doesn't need reinvention. It needs repair, it needs recognition. It needs to be passed forward intact for those who will need it next. Hundreds of people have already signed the petition at savedunham.org, and thousands more have shared it across the region. The public response has been strong and growing, but no final decision has been made. State agencies have indicated that the process will take time. Environmental reviews, funding decisions, and stakeholder input will stretch over months, even years. That timeline gives us something rare, an opportunity to act before the outcome is written. The only way to protect this reservoir from being quietly decommissioned, to prevent it from becoming just another line item in a risk reduction plan, is to get involved. Share the petition with people in your networks who would care. Attend public meetings, ask questions, get to know the options and the stakeholders who will ultimately shape the outcome. Join local conversations, follow and engage with public groups and community pages like Save Dunham on Facebook. Show decision makers that this place is not forgotten, that it's valued, used, and understood by those who know it best. This isn't about nostalgia, it's about responsibility, and the time to act is now. Because once the water is gone and the silence becomes absence, it doesn't come back. Together, we can save Dunham and preserve it for generations to come. Roosevelt reminded us that the health of a nation rests in how it protects its natural resources for the future. This is our moment to live up to that promise.